Right on, soldier. You got a duel with the Dino.
Hello and welcome to my deck profile for the post-DUNE True King Dino Yang Zing Wombo Combo Ding Dong Dino deck that I played yesterday at locals, and I took a surprising second place, losing 1 round out of 5. So this deck is well placed in the meta right now. It has a pretty good matchup with Kashtira by being able to put the Draw Egg token on the opponent's field through Lost World, and it can make a really strong board thanks to the new Evolzar XCs from the new set. I just want to go through the deck profile, my ratios, my rationale, what worked well, what didn't, and how the deck could potentially be improved in the future. So, obviously, the main boss, double UCT.
Set your binoculars on the apex predator. I special summon Ultimate Conductor Tyranno.
This card is just fantastic. It has so many favorable matchups against just about most of the meta. Like Kashtira, if you can bring this dude out and settle their guys, and then you just wombo in 1000 damage every single time, really good. It's useful against Mannadium. I faced a Mannadium player who, obviously the balls like to be destroyed by battle or card effect. UTT flips them down, sends them to the graveyard by card effect, so they can't even float.
Ultimate Conductor Tyranno activates its effect.
So this guy came in clutch so often, and just having him on board with like any other dino, and the opponent goes to turn, you just have like a free Book of Moon basically, and it's so good. Definitely wouldn't want to run 1, because then if you lose access to 1 through, I don't know, like it gets banished or what have you, then you just lose it completely. But I will say there were times that I did draw this card and I wasn't actually able to get 2 dinos in the grave. Infrequent, but can be a bit of a brick, but I think 2 is just the optimal ratio. For our other big 2, we've got 1 Pankratops, who basically you just summon for free using Petito Anodon 9 times out of 10. If it starts in your opening hand going second, it's just obviously a really good going second tool. Or with Petito Anodon, you set this up going first, it's just like another form of interruption, really strong. Dogoran, I never actually drew this dude, never needed to play him, but he obviously has some really favourable matchups against some of the big boss monsters that are just annoying to deal with. And like just having access to him in the deck and being able to kind of rotate into him with stuff like the fusion monster Transcendosaurus Gigantosaur, he has some pretty good applications. I wasn't able to see him, and truthfully I didn't need him, but like I wouldn't shave this card completely. Maybe you could just put him in the side deck. I've got another copy in the side deck just for if it seems more favourable to need multiple. We went for triple Xenometeorus. This card is new from Wild Survivors and has some fantastic uses. Like when you destroy one of your cards by card effect, or any card is destroyed by battle card effect, he can just summon himself out from the hand as a level 6 tuner, and then you can pop another dino from your hand or field to get a normal dino out from the deck. And the optimal play with this was going into my garnet of choice of the deck, which is Sword Arm of Dragon, to give yourself 2 level 6s so you can make your Evolzar Lars, which I was able to do pretty reliably. You can also go for the level 4, which I play Sabersaurus, which then enables you to go into level 10 Synchros, which is also really powerful. You could maybe shave this down to 2 because there's a lot of searching in the deck, and 3 copies sometimes you can draw it, and it's like a little bit of a brick because it doesn't actively destroy a card to start with, and you can just get stuck in your hand. But I think 3 is fine. Quite often though, I sided the 3rd copy out to put in something from my side deck that was more favourable for the matchup. But the card performed really well. It did what it needed to do. It got into the big synchros or the big XCs very frequently, and it's sort of it just gels the whole deck together. For the level 4s, we play one miss.
I believe in you, Miscellaneousaurus.
1 Giant Rex.
Giant Rex, you're up!
And triple Soul Eating Oviraptor.
Here comes Soul Eating Oviraptor.
I mean, Oviraptor is everything to the deck. Oviraptor is just the best normal summon, sets everything in motion. If you got Lost Wild, the fact that you can just destroy a token and then substitute that by destroying anything in the deck and then just procking one of the babies is insane. Search Misk, discard Misk, and it makes you Nibiru proof and stuff like that for on your turn 1. Very nutty. So these 4 are like a must include, and obviously their power has been known since 2017. Giant Rex, I thought this card was going to do more than it did, like as a 3/4 extender, but like I never really got into a position where I had him engraved to banish with UCT to then summon back. and thankfully I never drew him because he's kind of a dead draw. So you could shave this card out if you want to put in some hand traps. I'm opting for a main deck where it's basically all engine, no hand traps. You could potentially like take down Meteors to 2, take out Giant Rex, shave off some of the other card ratios and put in some stuff like Drolls or Ashes, depending on if that's like your preference and how you deck build. Didn't see this guy ever, so I can't really say like how well he performed or not, but like I guess I never really needed him, so it wasn't that great. For our little babies, we go triple baby Ceratosaurus.
This'll throw you for a loop. Baby Ceratosaurus.
And double Petit Pteranodon.
Swoop in, Petit Pteranodon.
These cards are just nuts. Their power level is insane. Everybody knows how good they are. None of them being hard once per turn. You just summon Pank, especially with this guy. This one can get you any of your level 4 lowers, which is just nuts. You go for Animodon Archosaur, you go for the tuners, you go for Soul Eating Overraptor. These cards are just, they don't really need explaining why the ratios. You could go up to 3 Petit Pteranodon, but then you don't want to brick too much on babies, so I think 3 and 2 is a perfect ratio. Then we play as our remaining dinosaurs, we play double Animodorned Archosaur. This card is really nutty. Just being able to the card itself, like, he presents a really annoying thing for the opponent, because if they don't like negate his on summon effect, they know you're searching the double evolution pill, and then you're going to be able to make one of your big dudes from deck for free. So this guy quite often I would use to like bait out interaction. Because I knew the opponent would have a negate or what have you, and I didn't necessarily need Animodon to resolve. So the amount of times it actually was able to search the double evolution pill was not very often, but it served its role of being the threat that the opponent has to waste about their effect on. So I think a couple of times I had people have to use their Baron de Fleur to negate this, which really didn't make a difference to me because I had enough gas in my hand that I was just trying to basically bait the Baron in the first place. So this card's really good. I wouldn't want to play it at 1 because then if you like do lose it completely and the opponent does negate it, then you don't have access to its ability going forward. Whereas if you have 2, if 1 gets negated and you get to your next turn, you can potentially bring it out through Baby Ceratosaurus or what have you to be able to get the double evolution pill with the second one. So I think 2 is a great ratio. I also then play 1 Jurek Aeolio. This card is just nuts. It's just a level 1 tuner, and everybody knows how powerful those are, especially with Ding Dong Dang Long.
Chill out, cool cat. The Ding Dong Daddy ain't cruising for a bruising.
So this card basically is a level 1 that you can summon out for free with just Misk, although normally with Misk you go for Animodon. But you can bring this guy out really simply with a Baby Ceratosaurus or with Misk. Use it and any of your level 4s that has used all their effects, like after you've used the Overraptor effect to pop a card and revive back a thing, you then just sink these guys into Danglong and then go wombo combo off from there. So necessary card. Then we also play the 2 bricks of Sabersaurus and Sword Arm of Dragon.
Front and center, Sabersaurus!
Now these 2 really just like, they feel terrible to draw, and there were a number of games where I did draw at them. There was actually one game where, because of the board presence, I ended up having to normal summon the Sabersaurus, and like it was able to run over the Manadium Rhino Heart dude, the one that's like the basic Manadium Warrior dude. It was able to run over that. I play these 2 Earths purely because of the Gozen match problem, where obviously the deck has a lot of different attributes, and if you're playing Frostosaurus and Megala Smasher X and they Gozen you, those 2 cards are completely dud. Whereas sometimes you can be in a situation where Earth is the attribute you keep, and then these 2 play quite nicely with that. And also, like, Sword Armor Dragon's just funny, like 20-30 defense and 17-50 attack. This guy's just classic. And like the times when I would go, I summon my Sword Armor Dragon, I could channel the Rex Raptor with that.
See how you like this card, Sword Arm of Dragon.
It's insane at letting you get into your big XEs with Lars, or like using it as like another pop target for one of your Xenos or what have you. Sabersaurus is pretty good for the rank 4s. Like quite often, if I wanted a Dolka or Laggy, you obviously bring out Sabersaurus and then overlay him with Overraptor. Both of these like are annoying to draw for sure, but you kind of need a level 4 and a level 6 just to give you that flexibility. We then played a small Yangzing court because with Ding Dong Daddy-O Danglong over here, you have to. And that consists of 9 pillars, Chiwen, Bian, and Suwani. So frequently you can make Deng Long Ding Dong with just one of your level 4s plus the Jurakeolio. What you do, obviously, on summon, you search out the 9 pillars, set that. Then you use Deng Long to send Chiwen from deck to grave. Becomes a level 1. Let me bring Deng Long out here just so you can kind of see the combo line. You'd bring Chiwen out. You'd summon Deng Long, you'd get rid of Chiwen. This guy becomes level 1. Either at this point, you either obviously use him as material for like a Linkuribo or what have you, turn him into Suwani. Then, opponent's turn, you have the Omni Negate with 9 pillars. That destroys Suwani. You then bring back Chiwen, summon Bian from the deck, and then Bian as a quick effect, you can then make Held as like another negate.
Honk if you're happy!
So these like 4 cards, whilst you never want to draw any of them, and it does kind of suck when you do because it means that you can't actually play both the times. If they're all 4 are in the deck, when you like start your game and you're able to make Denglong, which you can pretty much do with any hand, it's basically it presents 2 Omni Negates, and one of them being a spell speed 3, which is insane. So these cards are great, and I think they really showed their strength when going first. And oftentimes if I'd won the first draw and I knew I was going second, I would side them out for better going second tools. But I think in a best of 3 matchup, when you know when definitely when you're going first, these are insane. We then played a small True King core, and I'm going to say this right now, the True King core kind of didn't do anything. I never really was in a position, because of the various attributes, I didn't actually really ever have any opportunity to use the double True King Lithosygem, and I had the Dragonic Diagram. Diagram wasn't bad itself, just as a way to like pop one of the babies in hand and then search one of these dudes out, and then obviously get yourself going through that. But these 2 were just not really usable, because if you look back at the deck, we've got Light, Dino Wrestler is a Earth, we've got Fire, Dark, Earth, Babies are all Earths. So like in theory, it's like, oh, if I have 2 babies and True King Lithosygem, pop both my babies, go wombo combo off, and get rid of your opponent's best card from extra deck. That scenario just didn't ever present itself to be the case. So I wouldn't really suggest playing these cards in future. I think their old model of True King Dino Yang Zing from 2017 has kind of evolved beyond the point where these guys are necessary. Then onto our spells, or normal, our proper in archetype Dino spells. 2 Double Evolution Pill.
Here's the spell card, Double Evolution Pill.
This card is just nuts. You basically use it every single time to pull out a UCT from the deck. It can also pull out Pank, but Pank you normally want to get out with Petito Anodon. Sometimes you wonder, like, you need to obviously have a non-dino in the graveyard, and I'll show you my X deck in a minute, but there's pretty consistent lines to always guarantee you have a non-dino in grave. You can just turn anything into, like, you've got Animadorn that basically on itself with the Max deck is a 1-card Double Evolution Pill, because we play Animadorn, which we can then link into Linkuribo, and then we can link the Linkuribo away into Secure Gardener, which puts a level 1 Cyverse and a level 1 Dinosaur in the grave to double evolution into UCT. So Animadorn, if they don't negate, is a 1-card UCT basically, which is nutty. So I definitely want to. Wouldn't want to play 3 because you could brick on it and you could draw it like without access to the Animadorn or set up to the grave. So you wouldn't want to do that. 1 also is pretty bad, because if they can negate your search for it, it's going to be very difficult for you to get into it. Like sometimes I'd use Animadorn, then negate the search, but I had the second copy in hand anyway, so I was still able to wombo with it. So I think 2 is the optimal ratio. We have 6 search spells, triple Fossil Dig.
I activate my spell card, Fossil Dig.
And triple Ground Zeno. These are just nuts. Fossil Dig, everybody knows the power of this. Just a non once per turn search any level 6 or lower dino. Normally you search Soul Eating Overruptor just to get your combo started, or you can search the Xeno Meteorus or the one of the babies if you want to pop something in hand. And Ground Xeno is similar. You use this pretty much always to search the Xeno Meteorus, because it adds a Dinosaur Tuner or a Dinosaur Normal, and you're not really going to want to be searching the normals. And then once you've added that guy to hand, you then get to destroy 1 card in your hand. So you will frequently add Xeno Meteorus. Then on resolution, you'll pop one of the babies. That will then allow you to summon from deck, and then you go you do that chain 1 and then chain 2 Xenometeorus to summon itself. Therefore, you can block and protect yourself against Ash or other stuff. So you get the summon from deck plus then the Xenometeorus on the field, and then whatever you summon from deck, you can then pop with Xenometeorus to just keep going crazier like that. So these two are just insane. And Xeno in Grave can also turn like a Xenometeorus plus one of your normals into the fusion, which I made once against Unchained and is kind of decent, but like generally probably not the best card to make because you'd rather be making the new Evolzar Lars. It's really a shame because Ground Xeno like had like a small stint of playability with that second effect because before June we didn't have Lars. But like now, when you're just getting 2 6s on the field, the optimal play is just make Lars, not use them for fusion fodder. But both cards are insane at 3. Definitely goated. We then also play triple Lost World.
I invite you to the land where dinos never went extinct. I activate the field spell, Lost World.
Just insane, and then 1 terraforming to search it, and it can also search the Dragonic Diagram. Lost World just kind of does everything for the deck. Like, it gives your guys targeting protection while the opponent controls a token, which they're always going to do because you just activate this, summon a dude, give them a token. The replacement effect is so good. Like, this with Soul Eating Overrupt, I mean, everybody's waxed lyrical on how powerful that is, but you just basically get to use your Dino DNA to just destroy anything in your deck to proc Overrupt to revive a dude, and then you just, like, pop Wombo off with that with whatever you popped in deck. So these cards are mandatory, and just gives your deck much needed interruption and the ability to protect your dudes. Like the Lost World tokens frequently, when I was playing a Kashtira matchup and I had kind of bricked, just being able to go Lost World normal Babysaurus or something was crazy.
It's time to go commando!
And then for the extra deck, we play the 1 Linkuriboh and the Secure Garnet, which is basically just fodder for a double evolution pill. They don't really do anything, but that's those two. We play Reproducus, which is pretty fun. Like, just the fact that it requires 2 monsters, sometimes I would end with just that on the field, along with UCT, Lars, Pank, and this would basically be the thing I would destroy to proc UCT on the opponent's turn to flip all their guys face down.
They're as good as extinct!
It's just like, if you need an extra dinosaur on the field for that, it's pretty easy to make with just anything generic, and it doesn't really do anything effect-wise like most of these other 2 links, but it's just there for getting you out of sticky situations and guaranteeing that you've got that dino on the field for your UCT. We played 1 Apo. We had a lot of opportunities to summon it, but it was never optimal. I think like the monster effect negation that this guy that she offers is really good, but it just actually ends up being most of the time worse than what you make in archetype wise. So I'd probably shave this for maybe I don't know, like it's tricky also because like with the Xenometeors you also lock yourself out of non-dino, reptile, sea serpent and worm types. So I just don't think this card really needed to be in the extra deck. I played it, didn't summon it, didn't need it, didn't use it, so you could probably find something else better to replace that with. For the Synchros, we played a few actually. We played Herald of the Arclight, obviously with the Ding Dong Dang Long. And these two are just wombo combo, double negates, awesome. Dinosaur is the reason Danglong got banned. Now he's back. Like, extinction is over. Okay, we're rebelling. We're fighting against the extinction, fighting against the meteors, fighting against the planet's own self-destruction as we channel our dinosaur DNA for the future.
Well, I hate to say it, but I better get used to this pea-sized brain.
Newsflash! You always had a dino brain!
We played also as other Synchro targets Ancient Fairy Dragon. This card is actually really strong in this deck because quite easily you can make level 7s with either like Xenometeorus and your Animadorned, or with like the Danglong changing his level to 3 with Bian plus one of your level 4s. You can make Ancient Fairy Dragon, and this card's nutty. You're going first. It lets you pop your field spell, search the other one, or pop 1 Lost World, search another, just to deck thin. And it also gives you a free extra special summon from the hand. I never actually did summon it, but I think this card is crazy in this deck and definitely should not be overlooked. We also played Omega. This is another card that can just do like a hand rip and can be kind of annoying with like returning banished cards and stuff. Again, never summoned it, but definitely wouldn't cut because there were definitely situations where this card could have come up. For my level 10 Synchro, which is the one I would summon most frequently, is Ying. I wish I had a Bow Underfloor, and definitely if you have it, you should play this in the deck because this deck easily makes it. You've got to be careful though that you do it before you lock yourself out of Xena Meteorus stuff. So that's why I really like Ying, because it's a worm and it's a level 10, and you can do everything with Xena Meteorus. Don't have to worry about locking yourself out of your big bosses, and then this guy drops down, has a load of attack because you have a lot of cards banished, and if the opponent's playing a deck that banishes a lot, which to be fair most decks do nowadays, this card can just be nutty. And when you then like follow it up with UCT, like after making this guy, you then banish your 2 dinos, then proc him to banish from the opponent's field and grave, like that's just game over. This card is nuts, and he really showed how powerful he is even outside of a Sword Soul worm deck. For our XCs, we've played 5. Dolka, Lagia, and Lars. These are obviously the power 3. Lagia and Dolka need no explaining. They've been consistently strong since they first released back in, what was it, like 2012 when Dino Rabbit was a thing. 2 level 4s they need. Lagia basically stops normal or special summons by detaching both materials, and Dolka can negate monster effects by detaching 1. Both crazy. Lars is the new one. He's just come out in Duelist Nexus, so he's the rank 6, which you frequently make with Xena Meteorus plus the Sword Arm of Dragon. And while it has material, it can't be targeted by monster effects. And if your opponent when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, or just 1 if all of its materials are reptile and or dinosaur. Then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, negate its effects until the end of the turn. So basically, you make this guy pass to the opponent, and 2 times the opponent activates a card or effect, you get to negate one of their cards for the turn. So basically, you either negate whatever they're trying to resolve, or you just negate another one of their face-up cards. That's like a bit of a problem. This card is busted, and why the deck won. Why the deck won so many games, just because of the power of this card alone. Definitely an insane pickup, and definitely something that you should invest in if you're aiming to play these dinosaurs. We also played Baguska and Zeus. Baguska neither of these 2 came up, but there were situations where Zeus was definitely like the threat of being able to go into Zeus did sort of hamper some of the opponent's plays, just because if your opponent finishes the turn and you've got like Lars with 1 material, or one of your Volzars with 1 material, and it goes to your turn, you attack with it and you can go into Zeus, it's just can present game over. These were kind of like last minute additions because I really wasn't sure how to kind of pimp out the extra deck fully, but I definitely think Zeus has a really good place in the deck. Baguska, obviously, if you draw badly and you're just like trying to basically prolong the game, this card is always solid to go into. And then we played 1 fusion of Transcendosaurus Gigantosaurus, which you can make with the ground Zeno by using any dino and a normal monster from your hand or field. On summon, he gets back one of your dinosaurs to hand, and if he's summoned from the graveyard, you can then destroy 2 cards in hand and field, which is really crazy, and 1 card the opponent controls too. If it's destroyed, you can shuffle a normal monster from graveyard into the deck and special summon this card. So in theory, what you're supposed to do is obviously use a normal and Xena Meteorus, make this guy with ground Xeno. Then you use like Soul Eating Overwrapped or something to pop him. He goes to grave. You then shuffle your normal from grave into the deck, summon him back, just add back one of your dinos from the grave, probably the Pteranodon or Baby Source. Pop that and another card from your hand, and pop an opponent's card, and then you just wombo off from there. It's sort of a win more card, because it's pretty good going second, and like it's a good control tool, but going first there was just never really any motivation to make this card if the opponent doesn't have anything on the board. But he definitely has a really strong place in the deck in longer, grindier games. I made him against Unchained, and I mean, his actually effective pop card doesn't really do anything against Unchained, but it was just like another way to control the duel. So this card is really worth playing at 1. The other Transcendosaurs, it's a shame, they all kind of suck. When they're supposed to be like these really cool retrains of old historic Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then this is the only one that's remotely playable. It's just a bit of a shame. Alright, that's it for the main and extra. For the side deck, we played an extra Dogoran. Again, never sided into him. Triple Droll, just because you kind of have to against some of the decks at the moment. It's just too good not to run 3 of. We played Triple Ghost Sister. This card is just scummy, but like when a lot of duels go to time and you just need a way to be up on life points, you just side and go sister when you're kind of knowing that you're reaching the end of the round. So in my fourth match when I was against Rescue Ace, he'd won the first duel, I'd won the second duel, and they'd both been long, grindy games playing through each other's interruptions. I didn't know exactly how long was left on the round, but game 3 started. I decided in Go Sister. He went first, started his kind of combo chain. I then discarded Go Sister when he declared one of his rescue aces in hand, gained 2,200 life points. Became my turn, played as much as I could, although I couldn't do much against his board. But then the time of the round was called, and because I'd gained 2,200 with Go Sister, I got the win. So it's kind of scummy. You hate playing it, you hate playing against it, but sometimes you just have to play one of those cards that just wins you the game in time. We played Triple Nibiru. This is fine. I didn't actually, outside of Vanadium, there weren't really any decks that I could really side this in effectively against. Like Rescue Ace could have been one, but frequently he'd just finish on 4 monsters, so I didn't really end up siding this guy much at all. Triple Dark Ruler, this card is just great. When you know you're going second and the opponent's putting up a big negate board, you just got to side this boy in. And then we played 1 Thrust and 1 Talent, because that's all I have of these two. Never sided these in, never really saw a need. They're a bit too inconsistent with just having one of each, but I couldn't really think of what else to put in the side deck. Maybe like Anti-Spell if you're going first, just so you can like set up all your board, and then you maybe you drop these 3 for like 2 triple Anti-Spell. That could work. But yeah, so the deck did really well. It lost to Kashtira in the final, but it put up really good wins against Sword Soul Tenyi, Rescue Ace, Vanadium, and Unchained. And yeah, that's my deck profile. Everything centralizes around the Ding Dong Daddy-O, and it works really well. So yeah, if you've got Dino DNA pumping through your veins like me, hit subscribe, and let's see where these dinos can take us.